the appetizer, I guess, and then SemperFi really is the final boss here. So just because you can beat X Talent doesn't necessarily mean you can get past SemperFi, but surprisingly enough, I would actually say I think Unsettled Resentment do have a chance in this match. I think they're actually better than what you might look at them in terms of name value, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, people looking at Unsettled Resentment would have just seen a Fufu and thought, Lin Vision is like the only recognizable team or history for any of the players on Unsettled Resentment. But they beat the Huns. They lost to the Chinggis Warriors, but the fact they beat X Talent as well, like you're saying, is, I mean, not to be understated. This team is definitely punching up. I mean, they beat LFO as well. They've got, Waste of Ammo, Jatesy, people that watch Asian Counter-Strike will recognize these names for the Philippines region. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot to prove here, but they have been punching up, and SemperFi, I mean, they have to effectively have a display of force. We're starting our best of 3 out on Ancient. SemperFi being very aggressive in this CT pistol.
Yeah, Keen gonna have a look. Just going to be mollied away there at Cave. So a lot of mid-control for SemperFi early on in this round, but nothing really coming of it. Unsettled Resentment have opted to go for a little bit of a slower pistol out here. That's going to leave Alistair high and dry in mid, so he'll back off as some attention goes back in his direction. But now that util coming through, it's going to be a late mid take from Unsettled Resentment, and perhaps a pivot over toward A, which is where Keen is waiting quite keenly indeed with that USP in hand. No shots connecting though from the CT side thus far. Keen's got himself one, but Alistair will be run down, and this is starting to look a little bit awkward. SemperFi need those rotations to come through nice and quickly. 3 on 3. And things start to slow down once again as Unsettled Resentment just try to find their spot on the site.
They have nowhere to go. They realize the smokes have faded. There's no safety in the plant just because Keen held that position inside of main. So a player down just as Unsettled Resentment find the one gap in the rotation back to B. They will be able to get the plant, but working on the numbers and the health that Slayer has won't be easy.
Well, he's going to need to hit the first shot here. And it's going to have to be a headshot. Akari. Let's go well for one. Oh, no. He's got all 3. And that is just such a SemperFi moment, if I have to be frank. We've seen it enough times where SemperFi feel like they've got the advantage, feel like they've got a good round, and then it just kind of slips away. And happens again here in the pistol. So instant tack timeout coming through from that CT side. Off to a pretty rough start.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame, because I think Keen made the correct response. Even if Alistair maybe got strung out to dry a little bit, deep CT smoke, he tried to play ahead of it. He could have maybe even had like a pseudo crossfire with Keen from main. But by Keen holding his position and with all the delays and the quick rotates from SemperFi, you could see Unsettled Resentment were not comfortable with trying to even attempt a plant on that A-bomb site. It is a shame because I feel like they did a lot of things right, but just unable to contain them completely. They didn't lock off spawn as an angle, and they get punished for it. The fact that you are allowed to make that deep rotate to B. And this is one of the things, when I got to watch these guys against the Huns when they caused that upset. And Ancient was a map that was played, and it was actually one of the things I liked about Unsettled Resentment is that they're actually very good at making these sort of mid-round rotations. They stop, they freeze, they find a way out.
They're going to try and find their way in this instance, and that's not going to work out. Keen with that MP9 is going to be able to grab the kill under Madness. Already an opener here for SemperFi. Alistair is also getting information. So 4 on 5 here, and Unsettled Resentment aware that SemperFi have invested into this round.
Yeah, the middle of the map will be largely dominated by UR, but they've also got a limitation on the amount of util they have. 1 smoke for a late round execute or any potential burst. But SemperFi are being very active. A triple push inside of Ledge, and they're going to find the perfect time to strike from behind. Akari, once again, a multi-kill. Slayer will find the trade onto Ledge, and Alistair just needed to wrangle the 1 kill in main. Slayer surviving on 1 HP again. Unsettled Resentment, by the skin of their teeth, manage out another round.
Yeah, again, another SemperFi moment where they feel so close and yet so far. It's only 2 rounds in, obviously, so not a massive concern just yet for SemperFi. Looks like they're going to force into this one. Keen has M4, no head armor, no helmet. Shadiy upgraded pistol, Valiance upgraded pistol. It's a bit of an interesting buy across the board.
Yeah.
SemperFi feeling like they're doing damage to Unsettled Resentment, I guess, and they want to keep that train rolling.
usually the type of buy you see on T sides because you can find an entry really quick, but them being aggressive like this, they were hoping that could happen, but have already found the opening inside of Cave, and there will be a kill at least, another weapon that could be retrieved. In fact, it's at least 2 weapons of damage, but Keen should be able to escape, so that rifle investment, it won't be the most impactful.
No. It is going to mean Keen's going to have to go down to an MP9 here. But again, maybe not the end of the world, depending on where he wants to take that. Alice has got the AWP out in hand, so that'll be firepower upgrade for SemperFi in this CT half. They've been chipping away at Unsettled Resentment in these first 3 rounds, and it does feel like SemperFi at least imagine or back themselves that they can make this happen. You know, they're getting close in a lot of these rounds, so I don't think a 3-0 is necessarily representative of how close this matchup has been so far, as we will see an attempt into mid from both teams, at least in the utility sense. But Unsettled Resentment taking it nice and slow. It's going to be another late mid take if even those flashes are required. It doesn't look like that will happen. So they're just
I love the idea.
Just going to walk out.
I do love the idea here from SemperFi, though. They didn't go for the initial volley of util in taking B lane control. They do it slightly delayed, and by doing this, they apply a lot of pressure in the way that they were trying to set up for their mid control. Even if they do still have that territory, it's something that will be accounted for here by SemperFi. Even with Keen on that SMG, they should be able to get Ali into this position where relocating and actually rendezvousing with Madness in any way in mid should be locked off.
Ooh, Keen spots out the player on ramp, but he's being run down, and Savage has fallen in Cave as well. That'll be the game sorted pretty much for Unsettled Resentment. They've taken the B bomb site, and so the jig is up. SemperFi just going to save. That'll be a 4th one on this T side for Unsettled Resentment, and yeah, SemperFi off to a real rough start. I think we saw them play Ancient earlier on. They did play it against Fengda. Yeah, I'm just having a quick look at that as this hunt comes through for Unsettled Resentment, and they only just beat out Fengda on this map as well. So I don't know if there's maybe a bit of a susceptibility for SemperFi here on Ancient, or if they're finding the ping difference potentially a little bit of a problem as well. I don't know if you were clued in on this, but SemperFi actually over in Perth at the moment. They're boot camping for this qualifier, so slightly better ping for them than the other Australian teams. That'd be about 50 or so if this is going to be on a Singapore server. But, you know, obviously still an adaptation that you have to make.
Yeah, no, understandably so. But I think that it comes down to, I mean, some of the rounds that they've lost has come down to spacing or, you know, missed positioning on how they can kind of counteract what UR are doing. So I think there's something to be said about, you know, ping and the changes, but there have been winning opportunities so far. They just, it's not been, you know, missed shooting. But here on the half buy, a decent amount invested in these pistols. They actually do get the read quite early with the aggression on B, and so the rotates are here on time. Shadiy, a kill at least in from Donut, and there'll be a swarm coming those T's ways. The AWP shot missed. Madness does manage the spray on one, but there's a good amount of trading back, and Slayer is completely locked off in main.
Could this be the straw that breaks the camel's back? Unsettled Resentment. It feels like they've been so close to losing a couple of these rounds. And this one, 3-on-2. Savage, under pressure there, does get back to safety. It's gone to Keen to try to win some duels. He'll get one. A full 10-second defuse right now as Savage tries to hold off and can't quite. In the end, Valiance has to get off the defuse, try to take the fight. The round is done. The round is won. Unsettled Resentment have got it. And they've got it with no guns going through for SemperFi either. So it is a win, I guess, as far as Unsettled Resentment are concerned, but another very close affair.
Yeah,
painful one to lose for SemperFi.
That's such a shame, isn't it? I mean, they get exactly what they want. They get info. They kind of almost beat UR to the A bomb site as well on the rotate, and they get the advantageous trades. They have the whole bomb site to themselves effectively, as you know, in that 30-second mark on the bomb timer. But UR didn't brazenly swing on the first tap. They actually waited to see what SemperFi would do, and using that man advantage, they actually wanted the fight.
Keen's doing so much work.
That's a lot of damage onto a Fufu.
That's a fast take, though, from Unsettled Resentment into this B bomb site. And again, it's on to Keen. He's got a two-man spray down. Looking for even more. Will be helped out by Savage. And finally, it seems that SemperFi should be getting through a round. They do it pretty cleanly this time. 3 guns through, and they can start this campaign on the CT side. But, man, starting down 5-0, this is going to take some recovering.
Yeah, you are definitely just trying to change the pace there. When they've known they're against rifles, they've been playing very mid-control heavy, default-oriented. This time they tried to go for a fast execution on that B side. And sure, it was, after the opening 20 seconds, the initial volley of util, but they don't succeed in sort of scaling up ramp, and that's all courtesy of Keen. He's doing his absolute damnedest to try and get them into rounds.
Needs a bit of help. Again, going to be the one on the front foot, though, as he's having a little bit of a look into lane. Won't be seeing too much there. There is a flash tossed in by Twinkie, or Twinkle. I don't know where you guys ended up landing on that one, but we landed on Twinkie.
Yeah, we went on Twinkie because we assumed the first is an I, so why wouldn't the second
Correct.
one?
That's exactly the same assumption that we made. It couldn't be Twinkle, so we went with Twinkie instead. Anyway, who knows? We'll maybe get that information as it comes through, but over towards B, not a whole lot happening right now. Keen wisely turns away from that direction, has a look down shelf, a missed shot from Slayer. Keen is going to be able to survive by the skin of his teeth. A little bit of luck for him, and SemperFi need that to get back into this map. Valiance, though, on this push, gives up the A site.
Yeah, really hate that, especially when A main was smoked so early for them to realize that that's a vulnerability, but also not consider it. Alistair does have a player locked in position and will actually deal with Akari. Fortunately enough, low enough that the tag through the boxes is still enough to finish the job.
Yeah, a bit of a misposition from Akari, really, isn't it? But
yeah, but here's the gap, though. I mean, they're starting to retake back towards the B lane, and they can walk up ramp. There's actually no one that can stop it. Keen's still holding onto Cave, but he has no presence on the side itself.
Rotation coming through from Savage. So he has been able to beat Madness to that punch in that respect. However, Madness does get in behind him. So this is real problems. Keen has to go big here. There's only 5 seconds to plant this bomb, though, and it will be enough. As Slayer covers the walkout from Cave. And, again, SemperFi, you look at that and think, how have they lost that round after the start that they had? And yet they have, and it's a pretty bad loss as well. This will be 6-1 now for Unsettled Resentment. Yes, you're going to be able to take a couple of guns through, but this CT side is looking like a real struggle at the moment.
Yeah, and it does come off the back of, Valiance hunting for that extra space inside of main. It's a proactive step. I can definitely appreciate it, but when there's an open timing, you have to consider it as a possibility. That's why we see so many teams, if they're going to go for that type of aggression, they'll flash it or they'll double push it. And by him doing that independently, numbers advantages sometimes is lost. You have a limited amount of manpower you can distribute about the map, and it leads to these vulnerabilities. That was kind of a desperate mid-round call from UR. They're walking into the bomb site at 17 seconds, and Madness has to be very loud about his approach through red. He just finds this fantastic timing onto Savage, who was supposed to help prevent a potential plant on B. So it's, again, one of these more tragic moments, but it does partially stem from maybe being a bit active, but not having the proper considerations in place.
Yeah. I mean, you could see that round definitely starting to fall apart when Valiance pushes into A main and goes down. That's where it really starts to slip for SemperFi. That's where the holes in the defense start to grow a bit. Attack timeout coming through here for SemperFi. There was a brief tech pause there as well, so not sure what that was. Maybe a little bit of latency somewhere, something going on. But a bit of time required here for SemperFi to have another chat, because look, they know that this CT half is not going to be acceptable. It's not going to be enough if it continues in this capacity. So looking to really try and lock in and find a way to grab themselves, I don't know, maybe 4 rounds. If you could get to 4 here, back yourself on the T side. They're typically a pretty good T side. Keen, again, he's a pretty solid, aggressive rifler that likes to get in the thick of things, and the T side does tend to suit him in that aspect. Ali's having a rough day. 1-6 so far. Did start, I think, 0-5. So a few things that need to be picked up for SemperFi, certainly.
Well, you are going to go for, I think, slightly slower mid-control. Aggressive start from Slayer, but the smoke that's down, Alistair was hoping that he could find an aggro pick himself. But not to be. UR are actually starting to slow crawl their way into main, and there's no one close enough by to hear it. Shadiy's a little late to the rotate to Donut, and so he doesn't hear the steps coming through. There will be presence here from the CTs, and Valiant's actually chewing out one before they even secure any space on the site itself. This is not looking like a actually solid take here for UR. They need kills, and Madness will find it. Twinkie as well. Keen will try to trade, but they're just getting absolutely slaughtered. And the smoke from Savage only gives them a little bit of room. They don't even commit to the plant. They know they have the numbers and they have the info now to boot.
What?
Savage will actually catch the smoke. So, I mean, the plant doesn't come through and it becomes far more winnable now.
Yeah. 50 seconds, though, for Unsettled Resentment. They don't need to be feeling under too much pressure at the moment. That's the one big benefit for them. They are still very much advantage here. And if Savage just peeks right now into Slayer, he's probably a dead man. Orp on the line. I think Slayer might have seen him on this little jiggle, to be honest. He seems really locked in on this line. Obviously, that was the position where Savage was last spotted from, so expecting him from that angle. And Savage is not sure what to do. Just shoulders around the corner. Slayer, eventually, his patience is rewarded. Another round for Unsettled Resentment, and I think it was very well put how you said this was not looking like a great A take. Unsettled Resentment just needs some kills. I mean, SemperFi were all over that bomb site, but they just could not find the frags that you would expect them to get, let alone even the trade frags. That's the biggest thing. It's like, sure, you might lose one or two players there, but those guys need to be getting traded down, and SemperFi were unable to do that, and that's where they lose control of that site. And yeah, a nice bomb plant denial by Savage, but certainly not enough to get him back in the round in a 3-on-1. So SemperFi are pretty cooked at the moment on this CT side. They had a tack timeout as well from Unsettled Resentment, so I don't know if that's just a BM tack timeout here.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, it also could just be resettling themselves, given that you know, like we're saying, the A take didn't look great. I think the shame is there for SemperFi is that people will look at the way they played out the middle part of that sort of retake attempt before the bomb even went down from UR and think, why are they doing that? Why are they being so aggressive? It's because they missed the timing. You know, if they had a player inside of Donut that could have heard the early util exploding on that A site, they actually could have got some stolen util out more successfully. You know, they didn't realize how well they'd done in terms of actually disrupting the execute, even though they got there late.
Ooh, a Fufu. He's eaten a bit of damage, but he's been able to get at least a kill. Valiant's working hard for some more for SemperFi in middle. That mid establishment from SemperFi will work out, though. Again, this does look like a potential losable round for SemperFi, given the fact that Twinkie's been able to walk so far, all the way up on the B bomb site. He should not get two here. He nearly did. And again, that would have been a massive, massive loss for SemperFi, but still remaining in check here in the 1-on-3, and they've got to make sure they convert on this.
Yeah, they should look at the nameplate and know that the AWP is likely in play as well from Slayer, so congregating together is really the best way to try and counteract his presence. He's got a lot of time to, you know, suss this one out, but he heard a step on the flank, so he knows that is something that's exposed. And so as he fights forward into spawn, he's calling it more and more clear for himself and could quickly realize what SemperFi are up to. That's why, you know, Shadiy himself is actually trying to get ahead of the play and reestablish his control inside of A main. So there's no safe passage or safe plants really here for Slayer.
No, but Shadiy isolating himself could become a problem if he goes down on A. Puts it into a 2-on-1.
This could genuinely just be a save call as well for Slayer. I mean, if he doesn't find a kill in the next 7 seconds, I think there's a decent amount of players that would actually take that route.
If he tries to plant, Shadiy probably just knocks his clock off, although the smoke might make that a bit more difficult than Shadiy. Giving away his position here. Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. If that shot hits, he can get a plant, and then he's in a 2v1, and it's a nice post-plant because SemperFi are still on the way over. Either way, SemperFi do get through that round. They get themselves a second, and they're fighting, of course, still for 5. If they could get to 5, that'd be great. But that's a long way away at the moment.
I do like that they went for that hyper-aggressive play, though. It's something that I think SemperFi sometimes lack, and I think, I got the privilege of watching your sit down with Keen for Geographically Challenged, and, talking about him as the most aggressive piece on the roster, I look at players like Savage, Alistair, Valiance, I'm looking at these other pieces, and I want more from them. Keen, as the in-game leader, can't be the only driving force, but he is, time and time again, that same guy, and he's very successful. 1.5 kills. Savage tries to link up, but he's a little late, and the Molotov will stop him from hounding down a trade.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think Keen's really solid, and you see it a lot in those kinds of moves. He's generally always going to be good for one, often going to be good for two. But then you look at it and like, where's the rest of the team around that? Why is Savage so late down ramp? I mean, surely you're aware as a team that Keen is going to be pushing out a cave there. You'd hope that he's communicating that. So somebody else needs to maybe be assisting him in some way. But then again, you put that on him maybe as part of the system. Like, why is he not communicating that across in a way that needs to be understood? I don't know.
Oh, that's a little bit of a shame there for Alistair. Takes the tag and does receive about the same amount of damage back. Two players absolutely limping here for UR, but once again, they're kind of finding a gap here. I mean, middle is completely unoccupied, and Valiance would be the sole defender of that A side. SemperFi aren't satisfied with the idea of flying blind, and so we'll get some aggression down towards B lane, but Akari's tucked away, and so can hear that aggression, and they found the rotate in Alistair. The thing is, they're running into this B bomb side. There's still two players here. Savage didn't quite realize. Knife drawn, and he does find the trade, but Slayer up close finds the trade right back, and so that bomb can go down 1-on-3. Valiance, I mean, these players are so weak, but he won't actually know that that's the case.
I think you're going to have to solo cast the rest of this game, mate. I can't watch it anymore. I've got to close my eyes and turn it off. I've got to turn it off. This is really hurting. I mean, SemperFi are really just having such a rough time. It feels like every decision that Unsettled Resentment makes in terms of a push or a rotation or a peak is more or less the perfect choice to make. Like that was the perfect choice to make in that round. Push through middle, go towards B, get in behind SemperFi. They weren't watching toward Red Room. You could say, maybe that's a bit of a failure on the behalf of SemperFi, leaving that hole. But at the end of the day, Unsettled Resentment, they are finding those holes on a pretty consistent basis. So far, the reads on this T side are really, really nice. Yeah.
And it's the same thing that I kind of experienced watching them against the Huns, is that they were kind of outbraining the Huns on the T side. Constantly playing with the rotates, finding gaps. I mean, you think about one of the rounds where they found a kill on Keen in middle. They immediately walk up B ramp into a vacant B bomb site because Keen has been typically a cave player. He's been very active on the B side of the map. They're doing a great job of adapting to what SemperFi are trying to do in terms of find solutions. And, last round it started off with Keen being aggressive. This time it's shadiy that will take his place. And this time they are able to sort of link up between the two Latvians. But UR have no presence on B, and so they're going to have to accelerate towards this A side. Alistair and Valiance playing close to main, and these SMGs could do a lot, but Alistair immediately dealt with. There's a trade for Valiance at least, but Savage is a little late to the rotate, and shadyy's fighting while Savage is hiding, but does get his one. Needs more than just one to justify the position, and needs to buy time for Keen on the rotate too.
Yeah, re-smoking towards CT. Savage just going to try and go alone. That is not going to be working out at all. So it is on to Keen indeed. And at a 8-2 scoreline, can't really blame him for having a little bit of a look here to see what he can do. He is going to get Slayer for free. That's, I guess, the handicap given over to at least make this one possible. But Tweaky finding the perfect timing for that swing. Gets rid of Keen, 9-2. And this half has just fallen to bits for SemperFi. Money is there in a sense for this force buy, but it's rough.
Yeah, I think I think it's even worse is that they were about in the right positions. If they had been prepared to have counter util to action on that A site execute, they actually could have done a great job, but they kind of get caught transitioning positions. Alistair all back in hand and finds an opener inside of middle. Great blow in the smoke. And a deep position inside of A main too. So, sure, mid is occupied by UR, but they've got some good territory in response.
1 for 1 so far. Shady will not be able to survive, and it's a bit of a mess over towards the B-bomb site as well. Keen went through the smoke. Afufu's found Savage in middle. All over the map, Unsettled Resentment are winning duels. And that leaves Alistair solo. Yumi, let me tell you about an Alistair clutch. He's 2-9. Okay, it's not been his game so far. But a 1v3 here from Alistair to get a bit of momentum going for SemperFi. You have to hope that it's possible. He's got the first.
They're so separate.
It's not possible. Don't worry about it. Don't even get excited, Yumi. It's 10-2. The first half, so rough for SemperFi. We'll see if they can pull it back when we do come back from the break for half number 2. Rightio, welcome back on in. It is the second half here between SemperFi and Unsettled Resentment. And it might not be a very long half. SemperFi are going to have an absolute banger of a T-side if they want to say anything about Ancient.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some chances to win more rounds on that CT side. Definitely some great decisions being made by Unsettled Resentment. I think they found some, crazy gaps and some, late round flanks. There's definitely a lot going for them when it comes to Ancient. Demonstrated against the Huns and demonstrated here against SemperFi, who many would have as favorites, as many favorites have fallen before you are in this qualifier already. We're getting a little bit of info inside of main, at least one player spotted, but now a stampede headed his way.
Well, Fufu gonna have to try and land some headshots here, and unable to do so initially. Tapping away, he gets Valiance. Again, it's all going right for Unsettled Resentment, and nothing seems to be landing for SemperFi at the moment, though they will be able to get a bomb plant at least. Now, jumping through the smoke at Donut. Not quite going to work out, but back into the 3-on-3. Still very winnable for Unsettled Resentment. No kit in tow. Gonna have to move a little quicker. Trying to find those shots in onto Alistair. He will be the first to fall. They are aware that there was a player or two in Donut. And so going to try and chase that down as well. Shadiy round the corner, looking for that first. Won't get it. Can't get enough, you don't think, but time is going to be a factor
he's got
here.
It, I think. I'm pretty sure the round's won. I don't think he's gone onto this defuse quite quick enough, and we heard those beeps so much sooner than Slayer could cross the distance. Shadiy does enough. I mean, Alistair's kind of left to hang out to dry inside of the site itself, but that double setup inside of Donut, they just needed trades. Even if UR wanted the fight, they couldn't get the kills quite quick enough.
You'll take it, right? It's a scrappy win, but SemperFi will take anything that they can get at the moment. They do get that bomb down. They get the buy through here. Unsettled Resentment aren't ready to relieve the pressure just yet, though. 357s and a couple of MP9s taken into this round. They are going to fight for round 2 of the half.
Scary stuff. But, yeah, they need something to get the ball rolling. Akari, aggro move through the Molotov. And that's because he was trying to link up with the aggression down ramp. So at least a trade, 1 for 1. They don't move to try and recover that weapon. In fact, they just want to try and get there on some kind of rotate to contain. A Fufu caught on the flank as well. So only 1 player in defense of that A site. Well, not much of a defense. You get shot in the back.
Ooh, Shadiy deleted. So that'll be a gun that Unsettled Resentment can take through to the next round.
It should be 2. There's another one on ledge that they should be vying for, and that's where Twinkie will beeline to. So, all in all, a rather successful round. I mean, it does come off of a force, so it's not exactly as if there is no investment and this is massive rewards. But they'll have another swing at it in the following round where these rifles could be very impactful if SemperFi aren't careful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the status quo maintained, really. Rifles will go in the hands of the players with the armor. You can chuck those 5.7s over as well. There'll still be a pretty threatening looking setup here for Unsettled Resentment. We'll get another pause out. Another tech pause, perhaps. But look, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a long way to go for SemperFi. It's quite hard to imagine that they're going to be able to make this comeback happen. They started well in the second half, but this is going to take some serious mental fortitude. They're going to have to really lock in, and they are typically a team that does play a lot of close maps. It's another characteristic of watching SemperFi series is that they never seem to like win cleanly, but they also don't lose super dramatically. They'll always have these like kind of games where they get off to a bad start, pull it back, and then lose, or they're ahead and then they let it kind of come back and they lose. So
is that just a condition of being in OS?
Maybe. Yeah.
Because
I mean,
I'm thinking like,
teams are.
yeah, it's like I'm thinking FlyQuest. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I'm noticing the similarities already.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens here today for SemperFi. I would like to think that they're favorites in this matchup against Unsettled Resentment, but obviously what's happening in the server is indicating otherwise. Rifles in mid. Unsettled Resentment looking to hold on to that. And they won't need to work too hard for that. SemperFi going elsewhere.
Yeah, very aggressive start. But flash that will keep them a little conscious inside of mid. Keen trying to run some interference on B and will hope to activate before the A main aggression is identified. Keen actually struggling to deal with Slayer on side of the site, and the Deeg will be able to take him down. So they're going to have to accelerate quite quickly. That Galil saved over from the round prior. It's actually not as impactful as the 5.7, but one's a distraction, the other there to capitalize. But that rifle now dealt with, and now Madness around the back of the site deals with Shadiy. The spacing is a little clustered here for SemperFi. They don't actually get control of the site itself. And now they're a little trapped here at Big. Even with these smokes down, there's little ways to escape. Actually like
Valiance.
this move from Ali.
Well, he's going to get out of here with the bomb, but I'm not sure how much that's going to help them win this round. Valiance would probably still need to grab 1 or 2 just to keep Unsettled Resentment busy over here on A. Obviously, even the numbers up a little bit.
But just by freezing like this, with the potential of rerouting, yeah, it unsettles them.
It's in the name. Unsettled Resentment. But look at how low Valiance and Alistair are. How do they get through this round? How do they get a bomb plant with 20 seconds on the clock? They don't have a smoke. They've just got to win some aim duels, and Slayer's going to remove Alistair from the equation. It is Valiance solo. 12 seconds to work with. He's got the bomb. He's going to have to chance a plant, and the pig's going to come through. He's drawn it out, and unfortunately, he won't be able to do much about it. 11-4 is the score. SemperFi will give one up, one of the few chances that they have in this half. They are running out of time, running out of chances, and Unsettled Resentment need just 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, great kills from Slayer in that round, but I think weirdly the MVP kill is almost a Fufu and Twinkie just, stifling the initial progression of SemperFi there. Madness is allowed to get out towards the back of the site. SemperFi don't feel comfortable because there's no Molotov in that position and they can't sort of disrupt it. So left them wanting, but fast play to B. They take a lot of damage to util, and just by progressing up ramp, they're attempting trades, but they've been unable to get anything going, and there's not enough coverage to have clean pathways into the site itself. A double kill for Keen, but it will not amount to much. A 12-4 scoreline. It's, 8 swings at a finish. It's looking like UR will close on their map pick.
Yep. Yeah, and in a pretty dramatic fashion as well. This is some momentum that can definitely snowball into the second map pick as well. Just to update those of you at home who are playing along, Inferno, the pick from SemperFi. And it is a map that we've seen Unsettled Resentment play in a couple of their matches here. They were able to beat X-Talon on it, but they kind of got demolished by the Huns. So you take from that what you will as to the strength of Unsettled Resentment on map 2. But with a scoreline like this one, you'd have to look at them and say they're in with a real chance of knocking SemperFi out here today.
A little curious there from Madness. Thought he had a lot more space, and Keen just runs him down with the P250. Not really in a recoverable spot. Another dink, and it's actually not as much damage as you would have thought. He hit a second to follow up, and still surviving on 8 HP Slayer.
Man, he's working hard. He's really trying to put in a shift.
Yeah, he's working overtime for sure.
How's he getting so much done with a P? Like, he's literally dry entering with a P250 through Donut. Just running with a P250, trying to kill people. And he's got one, and he's almost killed another. Aye. Unsettled Resentment, though, still in control, in a sense, of this round. Although the B-bomb site is actually looking pretty good here for SemperFi. Savage nearly goes down to that spray, even through the flash. And Valiance can't hit the deagle shot. Now Alistair's fallen to Akari, and it has gone by the wayside. It was definitely winnable for SemperFi at one point, but Unsettled Resentment just a little bit too sharp in this instance, and now it's on to Savage with 10 HP in a 1v3 with 25 seconds. I don't see him doing this one. He's going to have to give it a crack. No chance otherwise, but he is really taking his time, and that is a feature of Savage's gameplay that sometimes blows up in his face. He's taking too long, even if he does get a kill here. 13-4, that'll be the score, and Unsettled Resentment make for a very easy map 1 victory.
Yeah, a very strong choice from Ancient, but moving into that Inferno, I do have some worries about Unsettled Resentment. We'll have to wait to see how it goes in that second map after the break.
Pro League Season 22 Asia closed qualifier. Right now we are watching SemperFi up against Unsettled Resentment, and it seems that Unsettled Resentment may be the arbiters of the Australian scene at the moment. They are just running through all the Aussie teams. They've deleted X-Talon yesterday, and they have kind of owned SemperFi on map 1 today. Yumi, what do you reckon? Is it a 2-mapper here, or is it a 3-mapper? Have Resentment done enough to convince you?
I will hope for a full 3 maps, but it's hard to say. No. They're getting destroyed in this pistol already. Just trying to challenge Deep Banana, and 3 get plucked out of the round immediately. It's a solitary Twinkie inside of this A site, but they're going to have to chow down on this sweet treat quite quick.
I feel like this is like the esports equivalent of like water torture or something. Have you seen Andor? Have you seen Andor, where they have that like they have like that headset or something where they put on the people to torture them? And this would be like what would be put into my headset. I would have to watch this game right now. It's hurting. That said, bomb plant down for SemperFi. They've actually started to pull this pistol round back. Valiance and Keen. Well, mostly Keen. He got 2 kills.
This reposition from Keen is crazy.
It's going to work out for 1, but can he get 2? Yes, he will. All of a sudden, this round looks winnable AF, I'll say. Keen is on for the ace. They have no idea where Akari is coming from, but I just don't think Akari can win this one anymore. There's no time already. He's trying to creep his way forward unless he hits 2 absolute blinders of a headshot. And that time has ticked away. So Keen has single-handedly pulled SemperFi, kicking and screaming through this round, and he is not going to be rewarded with the ace. So that's unfortunate. But what a great round from Keen.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. For him to have gotten away with the opening kill, but then the fact fact that they found this fantastic reposition into middle after they just secured the site and the plant, I mean, UR were never going to clear back down middle. The only way that they deal with Keen there is if they had pushed down deep B for that retake, and they went for a very spawn-heavy rotate. Keen's been an absolute stud and savior. Basically the only real driving force that we found coming away from Ancient, and starts off well here, which is very promising signs.
Indeed, but it can't be just Keen. That's the problem. He might get them that round win, but can he win them the entire map? Probably not. Unsettled Resentment, of course, have invested into this one. They still feel like they're the team that's on top. A bit of a mishap. Speed bump in that pistol round. That's all good. They can get back on track pretty quick smart here. Smoke in from Madness to delay SemperFi in Banana.
Yeah, had another one in spawn as well, so he will be able to cycle smokes, and it's going to funnel SemperFi towards mid, where there's this 4-man crossfire build. Actually, no, they break the crossfire to get aggressive, and so it's a double combo out from the apartment. Savage, a nice double kill. Slayer realized about inside of Boiler, and it's a Savage triple. Oh, could be back-to-back 4Ks, but running out of bullets, so shadyy's there to trade. Nicely handled from Savage to bring them back into this round, because it looked like they were on a collision course for a bad time.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves just yet. This round is not over, and P9 at this range should never be winning the duel, and won't. So it will be handled in the end by shadiy. And SemperFi go up 2-0. A decent start to the map.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they needed after the last map, because they did get a bit battered. So putting that momentum together here early on in Inferno, build the confidence back up, build the vibes back up. SemperFi need that.
They almost lost an important rifle, but I think as well in like the last tick of the end of the round, Alistair was able to pick up the AK, so they kept the high-value weapons at the very least. Yeah, could be compounding damage if they're not careful against these pistols.
He round the corner with the 5-7. Had a bit of a chance there. Still thinks he's got a chance. He's going to stick around. Won't work out, though. His layout with that USP. Able to claim one. It's not really going to do too much for the rest of the round. SemperFi going to get through this one. No problems at all. And Madness over towards B here. Surely not long for this world. There's a hunt on right now for SemperFi.
This is such an ugly deagle. That charm is... Okay, it was on the top of his gun a second ago. It was really freaking me out.
I wonder if that's why he wiggled. Did you see him do that wiggle? I wonder if it's the charm client-sided or server-sided. Surely it's got to be client-sided, right?
You know what? Everything is so client-sided that I would believe that.
Yeah. Maybe the charm was stuck on his deagle and he didn't like it. That's all I'm wondering.
I think it reset, though, when we switched back to him. I wasn't sure if the wiggle did it or if it was just because we reset our own player physics. Doesn't matter. Anyway, first gun round here for Unsettled Resentment. Slayer has that AWP, and something to note is that, you know, when I watched these guys against the Huns, they were, you know, incredibly passive. They had major vulnerabilities, even on their CT side as well. Didn't have many chances to do it. But even when they were on T, you know, they didn't have that same sort of start-stop dynamic that they expressed on Ancient and demonstrated against SemperFi here. So that's why I'm really hoping for a third map in the series. Madness, aggressive, past the Molotov, didn't try to fall back, instead tried to fight forward. So Fufu needs some help, and it will be coming quite quick.
Kari going to start to dump a bit of util in here, and Fufu will peek off the back, but there's just flashes all over the place. He can't see a damn thing. He's gotten back out into CT spawn, which honestly might not be a bad shout here at all. Fufu able to stop Valiance from crossing in deeper into the site. He's also spotted Keen going to new box. Information starting to come through for Unsettled Resentment, but they are losing players. Oh, Keen. Where has that come from? 2 through the smoke. And SemperFi should be getting this one pretty comfortably. Slayer will hold on to the AWP. Kari may struggle to keep that MP9 up.
Yeah, they dare to spam back at Keen. They're spamming him, and he's just shooting and following the bullet holes. And does so perfectly. It's so strange to think that, you know, with the previous conversations about the M4 and the A1S or the A4, there's always a talk about tracers. Now with the way that smokes interact, it's kind of less about tracers and more just about recognizing where the holes are and what angle it's coming from in some way. And Keen shows he's able to make that astute observation.
Yeah, much better look from SemperFi so far. I mean, I will say a bit shaky in the first round or two, but as we're getting deeper into this half, SemperFi looking cleaner and cleaner. Unsettled Resentment, their money broken. They are going to put together a little half buy here behind that AWP. Still a pretty threatening looking round. AWP in hand, few 5-7s. Deagle, definitely enough to make something happen. You got some util there as well for Unsettled Resentment. SemperFi do have to be careful about a round like this one.
Nice stalling incendiary there by Twinkie. Especially with them being locked out towards Banana. SemperFi obviously wanted to take some control in the apartments as well. They'll be slightly delayed. And there will be a rotate as well by UR to have a fourth player in defense of this A site. Flash primed, but they're playing anti on the UR side. Twinkie to take contact.
Slow pace. Unsettled Resentment have got the setup here on the A bomb site. Two players protecting brackets. Got a Fufu here as well, ready to swing. AWP is over towards B though, so it is just the pistols to work with on this side of the map. Twinkie going to push his way forward. He's been singed. They're aware of his position, but a Fufu claims one. And Valiance and Keen are both very low. Bomb's been left in second mid. A Fufu re-aggresses. Gets one more. And Slayer, he's picked off Keen as well. We're back into the 2-on-2. Healthy CTs. Slayer could go back over towards B. Does he hear? No, but he suspects. And he's going to start to work his way back over. Sets up on the line. And there is no smoke available for SemperFi right now. Oh, there is. A flash. And that's a big one. The Slayer unable to land the shot through the flash. Tries to get back on the line, but he should be a dead man here every day of the week. Shady! Ooh, shot's going to be missed. Timer is a factor. CT coming in from from Banana. The shot from Slayer hits Alistair. Doesn't connect onto Shady, but madness is there. And that round was madness. But it will be the first one on the board for Unsettled Resentment. I can't believe Slayer gets away with that.
I can't either. I mean, the flash play was perfect. They didn't attempt to run him down. Alistair had to actually pick up the bomb inside of second middle. You know, they went for this heavy brackets take. They were aggressing into A, but they didn't have the bomb with them the entire time. So they were actually, in a way, kind of forced to go back B. I imagine they would have made that call regardless, just because of the way the A take went. But then just being time crunched, not having the util, you know, none of that happens if they have a smoke available in some capacity. But yeah, Slayer's just allowed to be continually aggressive, and he punishes them for, you know, not actively trying to hound him down for security of the plant. Didn't have the time to, really. Good HE. And I think that's a miss, but Keen gets the space. Both these players have been wounded by HEs, and so with Keen wounded, Shady takes his place. Finds the opener in Banana.
Still a bit of a tenuous round here for SemperFi. They've gotten top Nana control, but not for long, it would seem. Fufu might be keen about retaking that space. He's got Slayer with him. Keen's just watching that line. This is perfect from Keen. Does stick around, overstays his welcome. Could have taken the one and got out of there. But even a 1-for-1 on that HP is a bit of a win. The other little caveat there, though, is that they have lost banana control. And Fufu doing some exploring. He's getting some information, and he's not really seeing much over towards B. So these A players are getting a bit antsy. Akari will go down, which leaves it really onto Twinkie. And maybe Fufu's timing could prove critical here, though. It seems that SemperFi have made the right choice to go towards B.
Yeah, there's a real chance that Savage just gets taken down for free, but he's kind of done his job. Oh, timing is actually kind of working in his favor here. And even as the Fufu cuts him off, there's just no presence on this B side. And they'll quickly come to that realization as well. They'll have known about a player on A, and Fufu obviously got his kill in Banana earlier on. So Fufu's rotate, cut down, and it'll be a safe call here for Twinkie. Good reposition and good read of the map there for SemperFi. They dodged a bullet.
Yeah, they've been doing that a bit this half, so maybe it's not just luck. Maybe there's something in this one for SemperFi. Shu seems to be on the other foot, right? We saw quite a number of rounds at the start of Ancient that felt if not lucky for Unsettled Resentment, at least fortunate in some instances.
Sure.
And I think you could say the same thing about this half from SemperFi, right? Some of these rounds, they've made the right choice. They've made the correct choice. They've hit some nice shots, courtesy of someone like Keen, for example. There was a little bit of a mishap over towards the B-bomb side in that previous round, but all's well that ends well, 5-1, and SemperFi really doing well on their map choice.
I think from what I observe from just these two maps, it's just that the reaction is more instinctive. It's more immediate from SemperFi. When there's, a push from one side, there's SemperFi are pushing in on the other side, and so in an effort to sort of reestablish equilibrium. And on Ancient, it felt like there were times where they're almost pushing too aggressively when the UR side were playing more of a passive approach, and there were a couple times it worked out, and yeah, those are the rounds where UR were maybe a little fortunate to kind of escape the deviation from their success. But it does seem like those calls are coming more instinctively, and it's less we have to do something, and it's more we know we should be doing this.
Alistar going to be set on the line at Car. No aggression this time from Unsettled Resentment in towards Banana, so SemperFi are going to have quite an easy time of taking that map control. What they do need to be aware of, though, is that Unsettled Resentment are getting quite active on the other side of the map. Push here into apartments and set themselves up.
Cute idea for Keen.
Over there. This might not matter necessarily, because SemperFi are going to go quickly in Banana. A Fufu, though, for the double, and Keen missing his timing. Well, he got the timing, he just missed his shots. Kari safe in Library for the moment. Flash comes through, and Keen is dead. This round slipping away from SemperFi.
How can Keen be so good, and yet that spray is enough of a difference maker in the round? Could still be a pull through here for SemperFi. They breach into this B-bomb site, but a 2-on-4. Ali needs some success. And the first swing a miss, and they don't even get the plant down.
Ooh. Savage got a kill onto a Fufu with a molly, and then Alistar caught dropping at Barbecue. So bomb plant did go down in the meanwhile. It's onto Savage here to try to clutch this one out 1v3.
They won't know about him.
Yeah, but a smoke here for Slayer. Molotov as well. Trades should come through. Now they know his position. He is going to be smoked off. Mollied off as well. He's going to smoke off the molly and just try to spam through the smoke. There's been a tap on that defuse. He's going to have to go. He's got no idea what he's shooting at. He's in the smoke.
Yeah.
So he's not even close. And that is a second round for Unsettled Resentment.
I mean, a small amount of panic there from Savage. His reposition was perfect in that 1 versus 3, and it really could have paid out for him. But there was a limitation to which positions he could be in. It was basically new box, second, dark. Because they knew it was a backside plant. So the longer he waited, the more likely they were to actually figure it all out. But yeah, inside of 1 smoke, could have made it work. Inside of 2, not a chance.
Still, that's only the second round for Unsettled Resentment, and it's a bit of a weird one.
It felt like SemperFi should have had that basically in the bag. Keen needed that free kill inside of the arches. It would have stopped any reinforcements from making it to B.
Yep. So I think you can still look at SemperFi and say, eye test-wise, they have looked the better team by a significant margin. Twinkie, good for 1. Needs a little more than that, and he does get 2, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough. Akari, though, is starting to convince me, and he's going to go and hide in the smoke. No, he's back in. All the way through to Arch side. Ooh. And I don't know if
he just spotted him.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, he seems to realize that there's someone going the apartment side.
Oh, this is big. This is huge from Shady. He's got 2, which leaves Madness alone. And if we're to be correct, and Shady did spot out Madness, they know exactly where he's coming from. Look at how locked in they are on that Carp's angle. They've got to know. They must be aware.
Yeah, they're short and apartments focused, and they know they've hit this timing to realize that he's likely relocated that way. Because Shady flanked out long, Madness is actually going to re-clear it that direction and catch them on the exit. 1 kill guaranteed. Ali actually doesn't stick around to see if he can fight the duel. Instead, takes the safer approach and will catch Madness completely off guard. It's close, but Shady makes the perfect play to counteract the Unsettled attempt at a retake.
Yeah. Pretty good round in the end for SemperFi, even if it does come down to 1 gun, that's fine. T-side, you got the bomb plant. They've got plenty of money. Unsettled Resentment are certainly hurting for cash. So a pretty good chance for SemperFi here to rebuild some of those funds. Unless some shenanigans come about in this round. Again, a fairly forward hold from Unsettled Resentment. A Fufu, not even a hold. He's just going to try and fight. And Valiance will take his head off. It's not the way that Unsettled Resentment would have wanted this round to start. It's going to make for a very, very tough one to convert, even if there's a fair bit of damage done.
And once again, blocking util over on that B side. It's exactly how Inferno plays out very typically. Solo Anchor, Madness has been doing a decent job at finding the timings for the util, but he's just been struggling to actually come away with the multi-kills that UR seem to get away with all throughout the first map in this series. Just a deep smoke and a car will make his rotate over, but there's no flashes that can be picked up and set up for Madness to swing or challenge ahead of this execute. It will be sectioned out by the utility completely. They do have a kit, and that can be somewhat of a surprise. In fact, the Slayer kill in Spawn allows an AK over, which makes things a little worrisome now for SemperFi.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of smokes, though. They can re-smoke these choke points. So it'll make for a pretty tough retake, honestly, for Unsettled Resentment. They have lost another player. I mean, it's not impossible, for sure, but just don't really see how you're going to get in here as Unsettled Resentment.
The only concern I'll have is that, you know, Akari could effectively drop this AK over and hover around inside of Church with a kit, because, I mean, the chances of you anticipating a kit on a half-buy, the real chance he could slide in late, but he's prioritizing the rifle.
Yeah. It's going to be way too tight for him to do anything here. A nice kill from Slayer will help Akari get out to safety.
Should allow another gun over away as well. Are they? Wow, they didn't even try and go for another gun. I'm very surprised by that. Teams are often so good at min-maxing. If the bomb is going to blow that rifle over, at least give it a look. You only saved the 5-7. Slayer didn't even have armor. So he really should have given it a look.
Another one for SemperFi, though. They continue to build upon a pretty solid first half here. But yet another gun round out for Unsettled Resentment. And again, the half is not gone by any stretch of the imagination. If Unsettled Resentment can get this one back up to 5, it'll still be a really competitive map. And they're going to try and change it up. Fufu this time charging his way down Banana. It's not something that we've really seen from Unsettled Resentment. It's a bit more of a forward hold toward B. The AWP out on A. Slayer connecting onto Valiance as he tried to aggress into brackets. And all of a sudden, this round goes pear-shaped for SemperFi.
Yeah, I love the fact that they take a pace change there for UR. They've been so passive on B in every round prior. This is the first time they've effectively fought forward, and SemperFi don't anticipate it whatsoever. Guns aren't drawn. They're still throwing a lot of their bog standard util just to retain some presence. And UR sort of see right through it by getting in their face. We'll still give it a good old college try, though. Smoke down over it. Long side. We'll keep Madness busy, but it is a 2-1-2. And a good smoke over on B that should continue to stall them. I mean, Afufu doesn't have any util. In fact, both these B players are completely dry. But I think if SemperFi don't capitalize or find some kind of quick breaching kill, this could even be an argument to save.
Well, SemperFi going to try and sell the possibility that something's going to happen over towards A there with that library smoke from Ali. Hasn't got Unsettled Resentment convinced. Got multiple players here, but they've both been dealt with. Nice entries from Savage, and that is how quickly a round can change, especially on a map like Inferno, where these sites are so isolated. We're now back into a 3-on-3.
Deep position by Savage, but Manda seems pretty aware of this possibility. Has him locked in, but also you'd imagine that you'd anticipate Savage to have swung at some point or another, so it could actually be completely disregarded by Madness, and it goes overlooked. Twinkie, a kill back from Spawn, but Alistair above the smoke, and that should prompt Slayer's retreat. A fantastic set of entries, a marvelous round from Savage. Another multi-kill added to his tally. And this one far more important than the ones against the Force Buy. I said they needed a breaching kill. He finds 2 without going traded.
Yeah, we'll take it. And 8-2. What a difference a map can make. AWP, of course, is going to be saved through for Unsettled Resentment, but getting to the point in the half now where it kind of doesn't really matter what Unsettled Resentment have got. They've lost so many rounds here that it just kind of feels like SemperFi are intuitively working their way through this T side, regardless of whether there's a full buy, force buy, half buy, pistols.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem to matter.
I think the big thing is that you can see UR are not being as proactive all the time. You know, they started aggressive that round, but that was the anomaly so far for this half. They've been relatively defensive in their setups, and they're not even really hounding in for, you know, fast flanking opportunities or clearing a territory or establishing deep control of anything. They're playing very defensive, and it is allowing a lot of the map to be open for SemperFi.
Another opening. Fufu going to go down. This time over towards B. And a lot of pressure being put on the A-bomb side right now by SemperFi. Ali has another opener. Slayer will respond. The AWP's doing some degree of work over on A, but Slayer's going to need to do more than just that. He's got rid of Keen. We're back into a 3-on-3, and he will re-aggress onto the line to start trying to clear out brackets. Meanwhile, shadiy has slipped through that smoke, going to wrap around Moto, see if he can maybe catch up with Twinkie from behind, and he will be able to do so. They're aware, of course, that Slayer is somewhere inside this smoke, but he is a one-man army on this defense. He's hitting everything.
Yeah, hit the tag too. But where's Madness? They still have no idea where this secondary player is. They know Slayer has asserted his dominance inside of this A site and inside of short, and now even he's a ghost.
This is really nice from Slayer. Has he got them bamboozled? Bomb plant's going down on A. He's going to be calling for the rotate. He's going to go ahead of it, though. shadiy keeping an eye on things. They know. They know. They see him, and they get rid of him. But Madness is going to now be aware that both the players were last seen on the site, haven't had much time to rotate over to Pied or move over into that library smoke, so he's probably just going to gamble that they're both still on this bomb site, and he will be correct in that assumption. Valiance gets the job done, and another tight round goes the way of SemperFi. You have to say, nice effort from Slayer, but not enough.
Yeah, another one of these big multi-kills or great plays from, you know, an individual on SemperFi. They're finding far more multi-kills. They're getting a few more of those hero moments. You know, it was partially, I think, at the start, spurred on by Keen from just even the pistol round. They started, what, 2-on-5? And he found 4 kills. It feels like there's a number of times where SemperFi are actually fighting from a deficit, but their players are punching way above their weight in terms of just individual manpower. I'll still maybe look at that Keen round on the pistol as inspiration, but everyone else has been doing a great job to serve tribute.
Another nice start for shadiy. He's getting a lot of these opening kills. 14-5. It's been a really good half from him. Unsettled Resentment just struggling so hard on this CT side of Inferno. The shoe's just on the other foot. Seeing a complete reversal of how the first map has played out now in the second. And that'll set us up quite nicely for a third, assuming SemperFi can convert on this one, which, look, if they were able to get themselves a 9-3, 10-2 lead in the first half, you'd definitely be expecting to be the case.
This is looking like it actually could be a third round here for UR. Even this slow crawl from Ali, it'll have to be a hell of a shot. High-low setup over on the sandbags. They're boosting to the half wall, and that will actually break the setup completely. A fantastic decision. Valiance just picks it apart, and once again, you know, equal footing, solid, you know, back and forth exchange. 1-for-1, they'll take it. Only for SemperFi to find a multi-kill. It is multi-kill madness for SemperFi throughout this T-side half, and I don't think Slayer's clutching this one.
No, I don't think so either. But he's going to give it a crack. Hopefully he can do some work with the rifle in the same way as the AWP. The answer, of course, is that's not going to happen. 10-2. SemperFi dominate the first half in response to a strong first map from Unsettled Resentment. So second half underway, and SemperFi are doing right back to Unsettled Resentment what was done to them on the first map. It's a 10-2 first half score, and you'd be looking at that and thinking, we are very due for a map 3.
It's actually unsettling how reminiscent this is of the Hun series, where it kind of played out the same way, you know, very good first map from UR, only for them to be humbled on Inferno. It's the same opening 2 maps, why it's so fresh in my mind. But yeah, SemperFi doing a fantastic job. They're getting the star level that they're kind of asking for with the names on the server. I mean, this is a very proactive move. Shadiy cutting off a player inside of second mid, stops him from making his way to Banana, and even if Savage is only man in charge of B, there'll be fast flanking opportunities here for SemperFi on the retake.
Oh, Alistar. Definitely under pressure here. He's going to be run down by those Glocks, and SemperFi are really going to struggle in a 4-on-2. No defuse kit in hand at the moment, so Keen and Shadiy are going to have to move pretty quickly here, but they are typically pretty sharp. Not sharp enough in this instance, so second half pistol will go the way of Unsettled Resentment. 10-3 the score. Big comeback required for Unsettled Resentment, and I don't know if it's worth talking about map 3 at this stage, but just to quickly rattle that one off, it is Mirage, should we get there. And so far in the event, Unsettled Resentment have not lost Mirage. They played it against X-Talon, Huns, and LFO. And they've won every single one of those. So, third map decider here. Maybe Unsettled Resentment aren't feeling too bad about that. But of course, they would like to get it done here in 2 if they could.
Yep, easier said than done. Where's this nade destined for? And will the timing hit for Keen? I'm invested. I need high value out of this HE. It banks on the corner. And they actually just swarm into Banana. Had they been that close half full, that HE would have done great work, but barely a lick of damage. It's all by pistols that they find even anything. And it's only the 1 kill via Keen.
Well,
I'm gravely disappointed.
Unsettled Resentment, lots of kills on the Mac 10s. Bit of money built up. See if they can do it here in the gun round, though. That will be the real tell for whether or not they're going to be able to make this comeback happen.
Yeah, I think it's... You know, the one criticism I had of UR on that first half was largely just due to their passive play, and there was a couple times where they tried to be a bit more active, and it didn't work, and they found advantages a few times. They didn't pull through. SemperFi will, I imagine, be better on this first gun round about choosing their targets, but Keen tries to get some control in Banana and gets blitzed. I mean, ran down by 2 HEs at the sandbag. And so there will be an entry, one that's done largely by utility. Even if it didn't kill him, there was a player looking to run him down anyway.
Yeah, a little bit of util tossed on both sides of the map. A flash into brackets there for Unsettled Resentment. It has not fooled SemperFi. They've made the commitment to come over toward B. Kind of leaving Shadiy as the anchor over on A, but this is a really good call from SemperFi, and the timing of it also looks like it's going to line up nicely. Util in. And counter util in as well. So Unsettled Resentment are going to have to wait out that incend. It won't take too long. Here we go. Flashes through. Valiance will be hard cleared by Slayer. Twinkie gets one more as well, and they've just got to deal with Alistar, which at this point you'd think they're going to be checking just to clear out the bomb site, and Unsettled Resentment wiped the floor with that B hold. It was a good call from SemperFi, but even 3 players on that bomb site were not enough.
I am a little curious as to what the thought process is there when they've, you know, they're effectively gamble stacking. They had Shadiy in a position where he was actually able to make a quick rotate. Should it have been the B bomb site? Util sails out. Maybe they're not fully convinced. They get the incendiary out at very good timing. But as soon as that incendiary is extinguished, they pull out a smoke on Valiance, top first orange. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. He is supposed to be your first contact into the bomb site. He cannot pull a smoke there. If he's going to throw it, he has to throw it while the incendiary is still up. Otherwise, the fact you have a third man there actually becomes a total moot point when the first man is a total sitting duck.
Yeah, for sure. Well, 10-5. Maybe this map's going to give us something a little bit more than we had anticipated based on that first half. This has been a really, really good start to the second for Unsettled Resentment. We'll see, obviously, that saved rifle come through for SemperFi. Nothing much put behind it apart from a little bit of armor there for Savage, some upgraded pistols here and there. It's a very good chance Unsettled Resentment get themselves up to 10-6 and have that momentum going on the T side. Like, at that point, it starts to feel like this might be doable.
Oh, aggressive flashes there for Shady to try and be active in through mid. Keen will once again take the sandbags, not deterred from his earlier shrapnel round gone by. Shady, good timing in mid. It's a very lonesome Akari.
Bit of a tickle from the molly. SemperFi are going to be aware that Unsettled Resentment are trying to probe towards brackets. I'm not going to overplay their hand. I'm happy to just play back on this A site.
I like the due diligence there from Afufu. Just pulled that rifle away from brackets so this can't compound into a greater issue. Or if it does, it'll be much later into the round.
Smoke down on B. 50 seconds left in the round. Time is starting to become a little bit of a factor here for Unsettled Resentment. They've got to make a decision soon. They'll smoke off top mid. But information is there. Valiance is on the push. And they know, again, SemperFi are well aware this is going to be a B hit. See if they can hold the site this time. It's going to be a bit tougher in terms of the weaponry and the util. But they have got all of their forces congregating on this position. It is going to be a full 5-man defense, essentially, with Valiance coming up through Banana. Shady getting it done. The 2K with that M4A1S to add to the kill he got earlier on in this round is essentially enough. And SemperFi have gone to 11. That's a really nice read. Again, obviously the information this time quite easily gathered by Valiance, and Unsettled Resentment, their attempt at a comeback comes to a swift close.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that their 3-man B setup worked better when they only had one rifle this time. It's, you know, they don't have that issue of drawing util or, you know, having enough to stall out UR and get a little uncomfortable. They're ready for those duels, and they balance the aggression perfectly. You know, Alistair played perfect bait to that boosted Shady rifle.
Ooh. Alistair gonna back it up.
I think what's more than likely, though, is that, you know, winning a round like that, or I suppose losing a round like that to the bye that SemperFi had, is probably the first sign of the apocalypse here on Inferno.
Yeah,
there weren't already many.
Kari's already out on A, though, and he's got a bit of help here from Twinkie. This is a pretty strange round in the way that it's now going to be playing out. Akari has killed Shady, but Alistair is up to his own devices right now in the apartments, and they don't seem to know that he's here. A lot of noise being made in pit. SemperFi aware that there's going to be a player in pit, and probably a player on site, and now 1 or 2 coming up brackets. Great timing on the spam from Keen. Very nearly gets a kill, but Alistair will be the X factor in this round. Can't quite get himself 2, and that, unfortunately, might actually still seal the deal for Unsettled Resentment. Alistair was so close to finishing that round off. Afufu, ooh, that's an egregious whiff onto Keen. So Keen's going to have a bit of a chance back in at this one, but little swing in there from Afufu, gets the job done, and Savage just going to have to save. Man, that round definitely could have gone the way of SemperFi at a couple of instances, but Unsettled Resentment bully their way through it.
Yeah, that's again one of those shames where Alistair's reposition is perfect. They'll have no idea just because there was 2 in A and then 2 coming up mid. You know, there is, of course, a potential timing that could have been hit in the apartments, but they didn't think Alistair would have actually hit it. He just needed that second kill inside of pit, and in a weird way, almost would have served him better to have fought pit first, just because, you know, the planter can't actually do any harm to you. But he knew exactly where he was. He had the sound cues. He just could not hit the instant headshot and gets punished for it. Not without its chance, but you are dodge a bullet. And it's largely due to just the pressure that Akari put on that A site. Not only the entry, but then this follow-up inside of library was certainly unexpected. Now rifles are back out, though, here for SemperFi. It's a full buy with the alley-oop. going for an initial volley of util on B, and then collapsing spawn. I mean, Keen is going back to pick up some dropped over util that wasn't ferried over for him. But nobody will take the space here on UR. They won't come to that realization.
Yeah, again, a very hefty setup over on the A side of the map here for SemperFi. That can't be maintained forever, surely. Alistair on a tight line. Not seeing too much. Bit of util being dumped now by Unsettled Resentment. And flashing their way out of Boiler. Akari's gone alone. That's not filling me with a whole lot of confidence. Now, Keen will have to start dropping his own util to delay this advancement towards B.
And shadiy just breaking rank as well to reinforce that secondary site.
Oh, okay. Cheeky timing from Savage will get the better of Slayer. That's the bomb drop. Twinkie out from Boiler. Absolutely needs to find something here. And he's now been spotted out as well. So the jig is up once again. SemperFi know exactly where Unsettled Resentment are. And this grenade, well, it would have finished off Twinkie. Instead, it'll do a lot of damage to a Fufu. Very easy round in the end for SemperFi. Unsettled Resentment, that one just felt a little bit wonky.
Yeah, and it could have gone a little pear-shaped there for Savage had he not found that kill in middle. But,
Yes.
you know, you're absolutely right in the fact that he not only gets his kill, but finds the bomb as well. So UR felt like they maybe didn't have another way that they could go. In theory, with the bomb being so down deep mid, and with 40 seconds left, they actually could have gone between either bomb site, but they get filtered into the trap. SemperFi, yeah, I mean, looking a lot better here on Inferno. Even with a couple of missed shots, they're rectifying those mistakes rather quick.
Ooh, Keen quickly at the half wall. Gonna duck his head down and set Savage up. But Unsettled Resentment are not through into Banana. They're playing a very patient T round here. I suppose they don't have a lot of util to work with Unsettled Resentment, so they're going to have to be pretty wise about how they use it. Keen's gone through the smoke, and he's gotten away with absolute murder there. Madness has team killed a Fufu, but Keen also got a double. I don't know how he gets away with that. And SemperFi say, thank you very much. That'll be map 2 in the back pocket. 13-6 the scoreline, and of course, that means we are going to a map 3. It is a complete change-up from map 1 to map 2, which obviously is not ideal as the AWPer. I think he's been having a rough one. And again, I don't know if maybe that's partly influenced by the ping issue where he can do really well domestically in ANZ, but then go and play in these Asia-based tournaments and have a little bit of an extra delay. Does that hurt the AWP a little bit more? Maybe. But yeah, certainly hasn't been his finest outing, and he's probably going to need it if they want to make it through this particular qualifier. Maybe not even in this matchup, but certainly later on down the piece.
Yeah, it's strange because I think I'm with you and many in the region in saying that SemperFi is the best Australian team bar or OS-based team, bar a team like FlyQuest. But there's certainly room for improvement. We're not there could be more impact from several of the pieces. Keen seems to be kind of a be-all and end-all piece for SemperFi, and should anybody else show up, then we've got a real game on our hands. Well, bursty pistol here from SemperFi. They force back the initial line of defense in Madness, but in from short, Akari has been able to take down Alistair, and there's no security of the plant just yet. Even past the smoke, Madness will be able to deny that bomb from going down. Now, found through the smoke, Savage will hound him, but Keen trying to establish presence on short. They are losing numbers, and only now get the bomb in.
Ooh, they don't, actually. Shady's gotten off of it. I don't know if he cancelled or if he thought he'd got it down and just hadn't. Either way, that pressure is really starting to creep in on these SemperFi players now. Shadiy, good kill, important one. They know there's a player up in apartments as well. I wonder if there's a world where they could have tried to slip away into market. It doesn't seem like an option anymore. Fufu and Twinkie will start it off nicely for Unsettled Resentment. They get that pistol in the back pocket.
Yeah, Shadiy got so far into that plant. You're actually probably right. He might have just switched away, especially because they couldn't have the full security of knowing that the back of the site was clear. Sure, they killed Madness, but because there was that smoke down at the market door, another could have crept through it for all they know, or could have challenged out of the market window. They didn't have the extra manpower that was kind of necessary to have a wide net cast on that side of the map, just so that they could feel safe. So, yeah, really nice stuff from you are kind of hitting those shots in transition. So it will be a full save here for SemperFi, not getting that extra plant money. They will attempt to dive into A just to get that bomb down and almost get it done. But Alistair dies before the final digit. So it will be a flawless anti-eco.
Early signs are positive for Unsettled Resentment. But it is just early signs. Got to see what this first gun round looks like from SemperFi. So, bit of mid control maybe based on that util. A bottom con smoke and a window smoke. But no real commitment in there just yet from SemperFi. Shadiy just going to be shouldering it slowly. There's an insend to the top mid boxes, which will disrupt this take somewhat from SemperFi, but looks like they're going to be able to take mid without too many dramas.
Yeah, the choice to start defensive here on UR was a good one. Had they tried to play more aggressive, SemperFi are actually in defensive spots at the top side of middle to address that kind of play. Especially when they've got SMG still in their arsenal. Could be something that SemperFi considered. So middle will be uncontested. SemperFi get themselves deep control into ladder and can kind of pump the brakes from here. The fact that they've got here unscathed, undetected, it will be a consideration for UR, but not something that they'll be openingly sort of willing to challenge. Might come down to Madness and whether or not he gets anything done from the end of the apartments.
It's a nice spot to be in, though, with the MP9. Fufu, though, dealt with. So as long as he doesn't get two, that's all good. Decent enough trade in the end from Savage. Should be the B-side taken. Actually, swarmed by Shadiy. As he gets himself another entry, and that is SemperFi to, you'd imagine, pick up their first round of this map. It'll be a little bit back and forth early on in the piece, which is somewhat a little different to the starts that we've had on both Ancient and Inferno. Wouldn't mind actually seeing a map that's a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have to give a little shout out to Savage just in his micro decision there. You know, him and Valiance get caught off guard completely in the apartments. And, you know, there are many moments where you are wanting to swing shoulder to shoulder to guarantee trades, but when it's in a spot that's up close and personal like that, 5-7, MP9, and you're not prepared for the fight, forcing the duel when you have teammates coming up short actually is the wrong play. So by Savage sort of tucking and waiting, he kind of knew that Onus was on Madness to push forward into him and try his best to hound that duel down. Because if he didn't, he was going to get shot in the side, and you know that fight into the bomb site itself is not great. Especially with an SMG. So just a small micro choice that goes a long way, because had Madness gotten that second kill in the apartments, and had Savage swung sort of haphazardly, things could have spiraled out of control. Another mid take here from SemperFi. Some less personnel in this take, but they're also being a little sneakier about it. Creeping close con.
Deep con smoke, but SemperFi already passed that. This is going to be an A split, and it looks really nice on the timing. There's a pop flash up in the sky there, but Akari already taken down. That flash didn't help him out much at all. King's in a bit of trouble here in Connector, but he even gets a bit more damage for his trouble, and Valiance is luckily able to finish off Madness, but they're not wise to the fact that a Fufu can be coming through there as well. Savage, good trade. 2 on the board for SemperFi. They equalize the numbers early on in the piece, and money now becoming a problem for Unsettled Resentment.
Yeah, I mean, they won't have the capacity to buy at all in this round. That was very chaotic. I mean, the creep to con ended up being the perfect call. They saw the smoke sort of bounce very slowly into the bottom of Connector, and it's very unlikely that it would bloom in that manner. If there was a player close or playing from the stairs, they saw where the trajectory came from, and so they collapsed on the site. The perfect avenue in, but a couple of unconsidered possibilities. You know, players getting shot in the back, round smokes. Took their chances, and there was a lot of punishment. So the fact that came as close as that was certainly a nervy round for SemperFi, but against these pistols, I'm just hoping they don't call the wrong side. They full stack for these pair of Deegs and standard issues.
Yeah, definitely want to be seeing them do their due diligence. Nothing too extraordinary happening in the round at the moment. Savage is going to have a little bit of a look into apartments, and this is where it might start to get a bit more interesting. He does at least spot one out. Bomb is sort of floating around on short. I was a bit concerned that they might decide that they were going to split B, but in the end, they've walked their way into A. Good call. And SemperFi will be taking this round without too much duress.
Yeah, I think the sell there from Madness was actually quite a good one in that, you know, he's attempting to jump spot. You know, that B bomb site can often be left so vacant, but after the first jump spot, it almost felt too inviting. So his teammates working con and up the ramp, calling it all clear. SemperFi don't make a mistake here.
Well,
they're just getting each other's way, though.
bit of a traffic jam.
Savage and Keen, the building blocks of SemperFi.
Yeah, apparently. Interesting how that all played out, really. Both kind of had some unfortunate adventures over in China. And then things didn't go well for Savage internationally in Europe. So just decided to build their own team.
Yeah, I have to say that whole escapade of making the long travel to come to Europe to get a month and a bit in an academy team, I certainly have my heart out for Savage and the risk he took, and you know, things kind of just exploding. So this is definitely an ambitious project, but one that has quite a few legs behind it.
Yeah, I think it's an easy one to support.
For sure.
Fight. You know, it's a plucky team. You know, they're underdogs, obviously, in the sense that they're from a small region and they're not even the best team in that region, and they're still giving it a crack. So I think they do have quite a decent cohort of fans, actually, that they've built up, even despite, I would say, the relative lack of success. It's still trying to grind out some of these important qualifiers, and Keen has got himself a nice headshot there onto Twinkie to start this round. Twinkie's been the standout as well for Unsettled Resentment so far in this half, so that's a big one.
Yeah, trying to be proactive and clear towards under, but Keen has been consistent throughout this whole series. Akari even playing with the idea of working the smoke around the edges of it after it was blown open, but he sent a lot of bullets downrange, and Keen will take advantage, but unable to actually connect on his shot. B-Burst instead lined up here for SemperFi. They need to find a reaction on an extreme, and Afufu does well to deal with the first.
How's this round gone from the way that it started to the way that it looks like it's going to end here? Alistair will look for a clutch, of course, a 1v3. He does have the C4 in hand, but he's only got 30 seconds, so if he does want to go back to A, he's going to have to get a wriggle on. Could run all the way through T-spawn, but he will not be beating Akari there.
Yeah, he also just won't make it to the A-bomb side in time now, so he didn't want to run immediately, just because if there was a player on short, they definitely would have beated him there, but now he just simply doesn't have the time. I mean, he's getting to the ramp at 8 seconds. Yeah, no, it's a touch too late. It's a touch too late.
That's
even
really
with the attempted open plant. Yeah, he needed to take a risk, and you know, the justification is certainly warranted in the route that he takes, and even just how silent he is, but almost needed to take his first step that fraction of a second sooner.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, look, in hindsight, it's easy to say.
It's a tough calculation to make when you're quite literally on the other side of the map, and if you were going to make that rotation, typically people would go underpass because it's the faster route.
I think even if he gets there in time, though, the swing surely just comes through, right?
Sure.
There's a player in jungle. There's no reason for him not to have a look if the bomb plan's going down there. And
kind of needed the extra second, 2 seconds maybe to maybe just get round to the other side of default.
Correct. So pretty doomed round in the end there for SemperFi, despite a good start. And Unsettled Resentment are right back in the conversation here. Got the AWP in hand for Slayer as well. He had a pretty good map on Inferno, even despite the loss. And you'd hope for Unsettled Resentment that they are going to be able to get some good value out of him here on this map as well.
Yeah, of course, we're in the lower bracket, so this map means a lot for both. SemperFi are looking, you know, it's strange to say that they're a successful team, but they don't have accolades. I think that's the distinction. You know, they have the separation in the region as being a strong contender, but they need accolades to their belt as well. UR have already done a lot in terms of how far they've punched up. Don't want more. Savage. Aggressive move through the smoking connector, and he finds the perfect time to strike for a double. That is a fantastic set of entries. Slayer's already chopped down low, so don't expect him to do too much. It's not even the initial target. The bombs make its way to B, while Savage is just continuing to collect heads on A.
Yeah, much better approach from SemperFi. I mean, I suppose it's easy to look good when the kills are happening all over the map in your favor. Slayer, I don't imagine, is going to be getting away with his life unless he goes down swinging. Or does not go down swinging, as it were. Ooh, they know he's on the line. Jiggle peeks out. Alistair not going to miss that shot. Keen will fall. And Alistair not going to overcommit to that fight. Now Flash back on the line, but Slayer really keen on taking this fight. And he knows that he has to just keep on fighting. Otherwise, eventually someone's going to wrap in behind him. And so that AWP will not be taken through. That's a very effective hunt from SemperFi. They take all the guns away. They more or less break the CT economy. There will not be a buy here for Unsettled Resentment. And in turn, SemperFi can start to dictate how this half looks.
Yeah, what a monstrous lurk, though, from Savage. I mean, the only prompt he really had to work off of was the util being deployed by CTs, and he just gets ahead of the play so nicely. They have no idea he's going to take that timing. He was just the interference player. You know, there's a lot of lurking players that would take the more passive line, always wait for steps, or, you know, not be the sort of cause of chaos. Savage is just that guy. Second time they've called a B stack on an eco. Will SemperFi think that they dare run it twice? They're being more active this time.
Tag from Alistair. Grade's going to go through as well. They're seeing a lot of bodies in apartments, though, and that should surely be dissuading SemperFi from any interest in that B site. Alistair with the bombs on his way to A.
They just don't have deep control on this A-bomb side either, so even with them sussing out that this is a stack, they could anticipate a lot more players than are actually present.
Wonder if Twinkie can get up to something special here with the Deagle. Just waiting, biding his time quite nicely. Oh, bit of a whiff. Eventually got it onto Shadiy, but came through too little too late. Easy trade for Savage. Bomb plants going down. Valiance looking for information into CT spawn, but there are some kills coming from these Deagles. Probably not enough to trouble SemperFi at all.
Yeah, Savage serving as security at the top side of connector as well, just to make sure that rifle doesn't fall into enemy hands too easily. There's a real chance that a rifle being collected, Valiance decides to exit through CT spawn as well, but they'll take the safer route. And in fact, Madness could just grab a weapon. I think that's tucked into that ROPS corner. In fact, there'll be no collections whatsoever. So, I mean, sure, it's damage onto the economy of SemperFi, but the real way this compounds is if Unsettled Resentment get a bit more economic buffer to them, win a round, and then can sort of continue to fund their comeback. SemperFi are just going to be satisfied that they identified the stacked site and found the weakness.
It's definitely been a much closer first half, a bit more back and forth. It doesn't really give us an indication exactly where this map is going. I think at this point, in some of the previous maps, we would have already gone, well, you know, this is SemperFi's map, more or less. Or this is Unsettled Resentment's map, just based on the eye test, but also based on the round scoreline. Here, yeah, SemperFi are definitely looking better, but it's not by such a dramatic margin that you can say that this is a foregone conclusion yet. Unsettled Resentment look like they're good enough at least to put a few more rounds together this half, and You can really change things up off the back of a half change as well once Unsettled Resentment moves over to that T side. Who's to say the status quo will be maintained?
I wouldn't be surprised to see Unsettled Resentment be a bit more active on the CT effort, especially on the way that they've handled mid. It's been vacant a lot of times, and it's actually led to a lot of successful rounds for SemperFi so far on this T side. Whether or not they take it early or take it late, you see these players congregating short and con. That's where they want to make their move.
Yeah, they really are taking that mid control pretty seriously in this one for Unsettled Resentment, but perfect call from SemperFi in a sort of scissors, paper, rock fashion. They just decide they're going to walk out A when there's no defense over there. So good read, good call from SemperFi. Smoke's gone down into con, jungle, flash over the top, Savage taking space. Bomb site secured. Now it's just to get the plan for SemperFi, and that is going to be too easy. Really good call for SemperFi, and it's just about executing on this round, which doesn't seem like it's going to be too troublesome at all. That's a really, really positive sign for SemperFi, the way that round has played out.
Yeah, it's perfect recognition as well of the deficits that UR are currently facing. And sure, the scoreline is quite close, and there's a couple rounds where you could have seen it swing the other way, but the major stemming problem for UR has been their complete absence of control, and constantly sort of having to react to what's happening for these executes. And so SemperFi kind of recognize that and, yeah, just go for a more committed take. There's a number of ways you can sort of counteract not having mid-control on this map, and, some teams fight to extremities, some teams fight it head-on. And SemperFi made the right decision in leaning to one of those extremes. Because by the time they got into A, I mean, it was basically wide open.
SemperFi looking toward mid once again. Frog smoke, con smoke, window smoke, everything smoke. SemperFi walking their way out middle, flash into connector. Shadiy not messing around at all. They know this is going to be a weaker buy from Unsettled Resentment, so they're going to try and put some pace into this round. Slayer has got Shadiy with that AWP through the smoke in con, and that might throw a spanner in the works for SemperFi, because Madness has also chimed in with one. Molly's dumped deep onto that B bomb site. Will dislodge Madness, but there is rotations across. Maybe not enough of a rotation because SemperFi are in on the bomb site. They're in the market. Slayer should be a dead man. King's got no idea. No. Where did he go? I think that's what Keen was wondering. And now Savage is in the 1v2. Bomb is up in apartments. That'll be a problem. That round has been absolutely chaotic, and it has fallen largely in the favor of Unsettled Resentment.
Savage has been a hero. Akari round the corner, and Slayer, half HP, down to a USP. He still overpowers him. That is a key clutch and a 4K for Slayer, where SemperFi make a pacey call, but Slayer gets up to some absolute magic. How did he disappear like that?
I mean, that, but also the kill from Con into short. I don't know if maybe there was a hole in the smoke, or did he have a grenade that he tossed into the smoke? Somehow he gets Shadiy working his way up short, and that's where that round actually really did start to slip for SemperFi, because you don't have that sort of two-pronged approach at that point anymore.
Timing almost great there for Slayer as well.
Yeah, another attempt.
Yeah, things get a little bit more dicey now. Leaning away from that pace here on SemperFi. They, in fact, managed to re-smoke in window. Top con bloom as well. And a small gap that Twinkie will exploit. Manages his kill with only losing half his health. They're just kind of trickling in here.
Yeah, what could have been? This half starts to feel like it's way closer than SemperFi would like it to be. Akari here in Sandwich has a lot of work to do. Molly will force him into the crosshair of Alistair, but the fire gets the job done, and this round very much still on offer for SemperFi. But Shadiy is making a lot of noise. Madness, if he doesn't catch him, at least knows where he's coming from. And might get him eventually as he picks that pace up. Oh, Shadiy is so lucky he has not slowed down there at all in T-Spawn, but this will still be a problem with a fast flank in T-Spawn that Shadiy is just not going to be prepared for, you'd think.
Yeah, neither of them should be. likely going to come down to a clutch, and Afufu will deal with one. Alistair, total disregard for ramp, and Madness just kept on the toes and on the back foot of SemperFi there. Finger on the pulse in that round was Unsettled Resentment, but a couple chances right back. Another key moment that could salvage the half for UR's defense. It's actually funny as well, because Alistair had no idea that that player was in Sandwich. You know, the fact that his teammate dies, end of Palace. I think he was trying to throw a Molotov into jungle, then he heard the bullets underneath him, and I think in that minor stage of panic, managed the perfect Molotov to kind of not have to take a gunfight.
Last round of the half here could be a big one. Felt like SemperFi were going to get away with more than 6.
Yeah.
And now there's a very real possibility that this ends at a 6-6 scoreline, and that would be anybody's game going into the second half.
UR have been getting outmaneuvered for a lot of this map, but they're now finding ways to plug the gaps, and it has come off some of the multi-kills of Slayer and Twinkie.
That's not good. Not good for SemperFi at all. Twinkie, Slayer, Afufu all getting involved. A massive crossfire in middle. And Valiance will try to save the day with the Deagle, but even then, had he got that kill, it was not going to happen. 6-6 the scoreline. We are evenly poised in the final map of the series. Welcome back. Second half here between Unsettled Resentment and SemperFi. It is 6-6 scoreline, which at the end of the day is maybe a little bit of a disappointment for SemperFi given how that half was playing out. A couple of critical rounds didn't go their way toward the back end, and we end ourselves with a very evenly paced match, which seems like it's what we deserved after those first two maps.
Absolutely. And, you know, we can say that SemperFi were leading, and, you know, the way that they were winning rounds did feel out-positioning. They were finding big edges. They were making great calls. And the ways that UR were actually kind of pulling through outside of maybe the last couple of rounds of the half, they were really kind of scrappy victories that actually did end up bailing them out quite significantly. But they've got to transition that into successes on this T side. It's where they did most of their damage on Ancient, and you imagine Mirage plays fairly similar. It's a simple execute, but the smoke at ramp is a curious tale. Don't imagine that's where it was supposed to go, and so they don't have a smoke to block out jungle, and Savage collects on one.
This is the start you want. SemperFi, even if the bomb plan has gone down, the pistol round is looking pretty swimming at the moment. 5 on 3. Valiance, though, ooh, needs to check the corner, and will do a good job of that. Cleans up Akari. Slay up low, a Fufu. Trying his best to get involved, but just not a chance at all. The USP headshots have been very good from SemperFi today. That is 7 to 6. Get the pistol round, but the job's not yet done. There will definitely be a force in here from Unsettled Resentment.
Yeah, great stuff. A little bit of a mistake there from UR. Just the fact that they missed that second smoke. They could have established safer control of the site proper, as well as maybe taken deeper territory as a result. But because they were losing numbers and because that smoke wasn't down, repositioning and setting up into after plants just didn't seem as feasible. And they still will move into this next round with not even really a buy, just deagles to leverage that extra bomb money. And you could punish SemperFi being aggressive. Here's a solitary Valiance over on B. And it will be a head-to-head 1v1 with Madness, who, if he's meticulous about this, all he needs is that quick delivery of a headshot. There will be no support. There's not really a safety net in place. But now Savage makes his move back on over. They're starting to journey underpass. Yeah, if SemperFi hang around here, oh my god, they're re-aggressing top mid. They could get caught.
In for one, in for another. And there's no such thing as SemperFi getting caught in this round, it would seem. 8 to 6. All good in the end. And they do negotiate the Deagle round. But here's where the buy comes through for Unsettled Resentment in the end. It's going to be a very good buy. Everything that they could possibly want. AK's util. Fufu's still thinking about what kind of util he actually wants to end up going for, and elects to go down to a Galil in the end to just grab out a little bit more. But this will be the first big one for Unsettled Resentment that they do need to get over the line, and if it doesn't go their way, then SemperFi very much on top and very much looking to close this series out.
SemperFi trying to be aggressive immediately. Mid was their boon on that T side, and they're trying to establish some dominance here on CT2. Damage is good downrange, but Keen takes a brunt himself. So after that initial volley, that hail of bullets, SemperFi will retreat and cede this position. They're starting to reposition a number of players. In fact, it seems to be a very committed call to be. And you are currently gravitating that direction too. Could be very dangerous. This is effectively a blind call, but because Alistair has retained ramp control, they are effectively playing retake A, but they could have all their players in the right positions here. Shadiy, first kill to contact. Molotov will flush him out, but Bomb is starting to make its way back. They're not convinced. They're not enjoying the idea of continuing towards this B site, even with all the smokes that are down. Savage does get his key kill on short. And remember, they still have this contingency plan. Alistair, tucked away at the back of the site, will do his best not to reveal. The A1S barrel could give him up if he's still aiming high. But Valiance will distract, and now Alistair takes that time to strike. 20 seconds, bomb dropped out into the open. And now Alistair's just trying to dance, trying to extend his life, buy some time for Keen to make the rotate, and he's dodging every attempt to hound him down. Tucks the wall, and the incendiary is just going to make this even more awkward. It could just come down to the spam, but Alistair can't line it up. He doesn't get bullets out his gun. Taken down by a Fufu, a diligent clear, and now a Keen 1v2. That could come down to a very, very late retake attempt. But he's loud about his approach. And it will be watched. A 3-2-1 swing, I think, planned for UR. And it will be contact made by their Twinkie. Oh, so close. They make the right call on the right side. And then all of a sudden, even with the reposition, the dance in the smoke, everything that SemperFi were trying to do, it still doesn't pull through. It's another heartbreaker round for SemperFi. UR almost just fell into trap after trap. And yet the hunted became the hunter. So light investment here for SemperFi now on these pistols. A flash deep. Does catch a Fufu. But he tucks away. Good kill. That was the forward presence. And sure, rotates will be coming, but not a whole lot that you should have to be worried about. Using every piece of utility that they have, every advantage they can leverage. The SMG of Ikari taking that space. And the plant will be uncontested.
Yeah, 5-on-4. It's going to be a tough one for SemperFi to make happen, obviously with the pistols in tow as well. They look like they're going to give it a bit of a crack here and see what they can do. Maybe just give Keen a little bit of a chance there in Palace to try and work an angle. If he could get anything done, there might have been a, let's say, a snowball's chance in hell. But with the 3v5 now, I don't really think much is going to come through. Valiance did well with that USP, but Unsettled Resentment definitely showing us enough on this T side now as well to start to really make this one interesting. This feels like it's going down to the wire. SemperFi obviously going to have to be very careful with where that economy ends up as we go deeper into the half as well. So I think we're set up for quite a banger finish.
Yeah, this game has been a bit streaky, I have to say. You know, from the opening pistols to conversions, first gun rounds being won by T sides. You know, the push and pull has been one that has amounted to these minor snowball effects. No one's quite wrangled the game entirely. So SemperFi will look to address the problems they feel like they're experiencing, because, to be honest, I don't even think the approach has been particularly weak. They've been trying to be aggressive. They've been making sure that on the default, UR are not being given loads of space to operate around. And yet, still, some of these rounds are falling between their fingertips.
Big
I will
bike
say,
out.
I think so far what's been most impressive about UR as this team that are a little bit unproven is their dedication, or their sort of commitment to the cause. If they're pulling away from a bomb site and they're re-execing somewhere, or they're gonna walk anywhere, they do so together and almost immediately. Like the say jump and they jump type of mentality.
No, I've been very impressed with what I've seen from Unsettled Resentment in comparison to my expectation, right? Like, my expectation for this team was they would get absolutely nothing done. They've beaten Huns, they've beaten X-Talon, they're really taking it to SemperFi as well. Like, these are some serious teams that they are really challenging, and maybe not in this round. They've tried to walk their way out onto A, and they've just been blitzed by the A hold from SemperFi. But even taking SemperFi to a third map, like in a decided match like this one, in an elimination match, is, I think, quite a solid sign for Unsettled Resentment. So who knows where they go, obviously, from here. But I think the whole seems to be greater than the sum of its parts, considering we don't know a lot about any of these players, bar a Fufu. And what we do know about a Fufu doesn't exactly have his name up in lights.
Yeah, and it was, limited exposure, limited time period, and also not given great roles. So it didn't paint him in a particularly flattering light. Looking a lot more fit and finished on this team, though. Another timeout being used. It might be a ping pong show of timeouts at the end of this this game, just because it's I mean, it's do or die. It's sink or swim. We're in the lower bracket. No more safety nets.
Tech9's out for Twinkie. So not a perfect buy for Unsettled Resentment, but definitely enough to get by. Although if they're going to try that A hit again, maybe they're going to need to rethink that one. This time, quick out to mid with a bunch of util. Molly into Keen's position, though. It's not going to dislodge him at all. He's happy to just wait that one out. And SemperFi maintaining hold on mid, but going to have a little bit of a look over towards A. Once again, Unsettled Resentment testing that bomb site. This time a bit of a different fashion. Twinkie enclosed that Tech9 AD on the high ping, making it very difficult for Savage to get anything done there from CT Spawn at Ticket. And it's a 4v5 retake for SemperFi, which they have a bit of experience with in this half, and it didn't go well last time, though it was just pistols last time. So we'll see if they can get it done here with the guns in hand. Nade into the smoke at CT Spawn. That gives away their efforts from that area of the map, and just not winning enough duels, it seems. It is going to be Valiance that's just going to have to slink away, hold on to that M4, and try again in the next round. 9-9 secured for Unsettled Resentment.
Yeah, that's got to be so upsetting. I mean, they're playing a hyper-defensive setup on A, and you know, Savage had his chance to stop the progress, but he tried to play as conservatively as he could to tuck away, and instead he just gets hounded by the tech. Not a single saved weapon here for SemperFi. They don't even really find blood onto this Unsettled Resentment that went in with such pace. It's a timeout into a successful round for SemperFi, and then right back at you with Unsettled Resentment. And there will be no cute call, no deep investment here from the O squad.
Oh, Twinkie spots Alistair, and he's going to scurry away. Very spread approach from SemperFi here. No stack. So I can't really imagine that there's going to be too much success for SemperFi in this round. Typically, when you have a buy round like this one, you're not really going to be getting it done by a default in terms of a hold. It's often going to have to be a stack on a site or a push somewhere. And it seems like SemperFi are starting to cotton on to that as a possibility. Maybe go towards that A bomb site. They've started to congregate their forces over towards A and middle. King here with the P250 is not going to have the success against Akari. That's the kind of fight, though, that if he wins that, picks up that AK, this round changes completely.
Yeah, especially with how spread they were, right? It could have compounded into a greater issue, but the bomb is actually trying to make its way back over to A just after they've thrown some presence inside of the apartments. They're reading it right. I mean, SemperFi have started to clamor in for middle. They know that Akari is weak inside of the ladder room, and so they do overpower him in the end. He manages another kill. Alistair, good spot, and yeah, it's another weapon recovered. Back to 3-on-3, where there's now 2 rifles in the arsenal, and Shady, a chance to cancel the plant, but it's simply not enough. And now Twinkie is finding all the heads of Fufu. Damage good at the top side of Connector, and while Savage has been a hero, it's a little too much. Double digits first, found by Unsettled Resentment.
That's the lead. And that'll be attack timeout coming through from SemperFi as well, who really are starting to feel that pump. The money is getting low. They're down 9-10 now. Loss bonus hasn't fully built its way up. They are going to get a buy through here, but no head armor. Defuse kits are lacking. Util a little bit lacking as well on players like Alistair. So the cracks are starting to show for SemperFi here, and when it gets into these high-pressure moments, can they find a way to dig deep? Or is Unsettled Resentment just going to run away with things now that they've found that lead? They've been working hard to get there all half long, and it feels like they've finally gotten to that point where they can actually take a bit of a step back in terms of that pressure. They can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief. And now focus on themselves rather than just trying to play catch-up. Big round coming up here for SemperFi. A loss in this one might be their chances at the ESL Pro League Season 22 close qualifier going up in dust.
Another aggro mid call here from SemperFi, and they do secure space for shadiy at the top mid boxes. Deep flash, the two Latvians clearing things entirely, but it's a far more committed call here for Unsettled Resentment. Very B-heavy. It's retaining mid as well as an A-lurk. But not actually any level of dominance displayed here by the attack. Keen, spam is right on the money. Did damage to a Fufu too, but finds a kill in its completion. Man advantage that they'll happily take. This is where I'm expecting the importance of Twinkie inside of Palace to really rear its head. They've lost all control around the map. They've seeded that B extreme. They have nothing in mid. The Fufu's wounded. They need a crowbar, someone to serve as one into a site.
Yeah, they need a miracle.
They're doing it with one smoke.
Maybe it's just off the back of a Fufu hitting a nice entry with this AWP, but who's he going to hit the entry onto? Shadiy's not peeking. The other guy's under balcony. You're not going to get an AWP entry onto him. Savage, well, he's on top of balcony. Either way, it doesn't really matter. That round is just over in the blink of an eye. Very clean hold from SemperFi. They will lose Valiance, but one gun down's not the biggest of concerns. And that's the exact kind of round that SemperFi needs to keep them in this conversation in the second half.
Yeah, and just key feature, key choice is that they took the fight to Unsettled Resentment that were looking to work in extreme and maybe go for one of these slower execs, which is them trying to adjust their pace in anticipation of what SemperFi are up to, but without the presence around the map, it's just simply not going to work. They've been doing a lot of great work in sort of the early stages or the late stages of a round. It's the middle portion where they've, I guess, mainly struggled to find any success, and even after SemperFi were aggro and, you know, basically not being given duels, they're still... Keen's still somehow able to fish away a kill with his spam in the underpass. It's been a high hit rate on timeout into round win so far in Mirage. This double AWP is a curious choice for SemperFi. You know, of course, the AWPer, in-game leader, kind of everything player prior to Alistair's joining.
Him, I like to call him. Yeah, so bold time to pull it out as well, isn't it? 10-10.
Yeah.
Changing it up. But not something that Unsettled Resentment have really seen at all in this series. And frankly, it's not something that SemperFi actually lean into that much. I am a little surprised by that, to be honest. I think Keen is quite capable with the AWP in hand. But it might not matter here as we're going over towards B. Shadiy not coming into play yet. Valiance has actually been able to get himself two from up on the Apps balcony. Savage is waiting from bench. Did fire off a shot which gave away his position, but he's surviving by the skin of his teeth. And the same can be said for Valiance. They just fight in tandem. A Fufu gets work done over on A, but he does not have the C4. And SemperFi will be claiming the lead once again. They're going to go up 11-10. And they themselves now will be wiping their brow as they can take a little bit of a sigh of relief.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, just before that hit came in, I did also realize that, wait a second, they have a double AWP setup on the CT side. And you mean to tell me that both of those AWPs were on A? You know, how often do you see a double AWP A setup and a 3B hold?
Surely one would be B, right? Like a bench or in Apps or...
B, mid, you know, locking down a key position, but they were both... Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they decided that's all they needed. Especially when they've been so execute heavy. Have they executed A, smokes down, AWP close, you know, you're going to get traded, or you're going to get ran down at some point. But they dodged that bullet. You know, they had 3 on the right side of the map.
Money's pretty bad for Unsettled Resentment here. So, just going to go for the hero AWP. See what a Fufu can do with that one. He's going to eat a massive chunk of damage from the grenade. And SemperFi would be more than likely to get to 12 off for this round, and that is really a problematic situation for Unsettled Resentment. Their money's obviously all over the place. They will be able to get a bye next round, but it's definitely not going to be perfect. Fufu down to 250. It was what, 2.4k loss bonus, I think, for Unsettled Resentment. So it's getting a little bit goofy at the back end of Mirage here. That is, of course, assuming SemperFi wins this round, and with Keen pushing out of apartments all the way into T-Apps, Unsettled Resentment, once again, losing a lot of that map control on this T side.
Yeah, and even with just Keen's aggression, Valiance is still inside of the underpass as well. They did that a coordinated double move to B, and they find the bomb, a couple of headshots, and that will be all she wrote. They can even go and recover that secondary AWP if they want to. Valiance just collecting heads. A 4K for him against the pistols, and the double AWP in employment here for SemperFi. What will be the last set of chances for Unsettled Resentment to force an overtime?
You get the sense that SemperFi might have just done enough. But as is often the case in Counter-Strike in this region, you can't really rest on your laurels, right? Things that are very unexpected do happen a lot in Asia. Obviously, attack timeout here for Unsettled Resentment. They're going to get a buy through. Afufu's going to have to go down to maybe a Mac 10, Tech 9, what have you. We've got a Tech pause out now as well, as is ever the case.
Yeah, and I've been trying to call attention to it a few times this game, but every time a timeout has been called, the team that's called it has succeeded in winning the round. So the fact that it's I think 5 out of 6 hit rate so far. This 6th one, I think, to be determined. I'm leaning on the stats there. At some point, it has to fail, but I don't think it'll happen in regulation. It's kind of an anticlimactic end to that tactical timeout, considering I was really hoping it would just transition straight into the point with this technical that now plagues us.
Yeah.
But we have been quite lucky throughout this best of 3, though. There hasn't been really that many issues.
Yeah, in this BO3, it's been good. I was having a conversation yesterday with Mac about this, though. We were saying, like, why does the tech pause always happen at, like, round 12 for one team? And then it happened the next 2 maps in a row. I really don't understand. It's like monkey's paw, you know? You get to the end of the map, but, like, not really.
Yeah. I think what's curious is that I've been on the other end where I've played in like open qualifiers and had a client open or something that I haven't opened in a while, and you're scrimming the day before and you just think it'll work, everything will work fine. I could show up 15 minutes before the game, get my deathmatch in, and then show up, and then things just break sometimes. And always think in hindsight, should have come back sooner, but hasn't really been a problem. Also quite a short delay, but this could be do or die for Unsettled Resentment. Last real chance. They need to threaten something significant. Attack into tech. They need to come up with a clever plan.
It's going to have to be very clever indeed. Keen will fall off the apps line. And so that allows Unsettled Resentment to push their way up through. I think I said apps. I meant Palace. But either way, there's been a bit of a push out on apps too. And that is going to catch Valiance off guard. Not a great round for him to be going down like that one. Shady, though, still lurking around on this bomb site, confirming that that T player has not got out on B. So SemperFi don't have to move off A yet.
Should also be a justification to stack or save, really, here as well. But as Keen pushes further forward on A, they might be starting to call it clear. I mean, he's getting a lot of territory, and there's no real signs of resistance. They're pulling away from this A bomb site. They do think that it's likely to be a B hit off of the pick that Madness found. But now Shady hears the steps, but it's only one track, and they may realize that they're out of position. Good news is that Keen will be uncontested from his deep position at ramp.
Oh, bit of a traffic jam at the balcony there, but it's all good. Keen hits the shot onto a Fufu, looks for a little bit more. Might have been better off just playing it a little slower there in the end, as this head does get lopped off by Slayer. The bomb plant's going down. There's nothing Savage can do about that. It will be 3 players retaking through from CT, and Alistair gives them the opening they're looking for. Slayer dropped. Still a smoke in the hands here of shadiy. Defuse kits on all 3 of these CTs. Akari not yet spotted. Maybe a tap in his direction, indicating that he has now been seen. Twinkies position found out, and Akari solo. That smoke on the bomb surely, and it's now time to start putting pressure back on as the defuse is through, and that is going to be the map and series done. SemperFi secure it over Unsettled Resentment and keep themselves alive in the Season 22 of ESL Pro League Asia qualifier. It was a close series, Yumi, but the Aussies get it done. And the Latvians.
Incredibly contentious. I mean, a number of times where